Okay, so today we're going to work on this project. It stems from a project from some code that I wrote a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, meaning in 2007. I wrote it so I was teaching a class, programming class, and it was an introductory class, and we were doing a lot of console application kind of stuff, and a bunch of my students were like, "Oh, well, this is good, but when are we ever going to make anything cool, right? With just making console applications." And so, as an example, I made an ASCII version of Donkey Kong because it's a console application, just to show them that even with a console application, you can still make cool things. And eventually, I made it into a test for them and stuff like that. And then, I don't know, about a year ago, apparently from my git commit history, I was like, hey, this was interesting code. Maybe I should make it into some sort of like workshop or something. So I went and dug up the code, and it was originally written, like I said, in 2007 with like C#2 and Visual Studio 2005. I was like, I wonder what it would take to make it a little more modern, use, .NET Core or some, one of the more recent versions of .NET. Make it that would make it also so that it's cross-platform. But like I said, the code was written in 2007. So how much of things, both language features that were available and my own personal preference in coding, how much of those things have changed over time? It's interesting to look at that. So that's what we're going to do today. I have this GitHub repo where I have the code. It's in I think mostly running state using .NET 5. I have a couple different sections of things that we could do. I think level 0 probably we're probably pretty good at level 0. But then in level 1 and level 2, we start getting into some, code cleanup, refactoring kinds of things. Level 2 has adding unit tests. This code has no unit tests. So we'll probably focus on there. I don't know that we'll do level 3 or level 4, but if people who watch this want to go play with this code and do some of those things, that would be great too. So, so I have the code here. I have the README.
I think like 3 and 4 are useful in terms of the idea of refactoring with a purpose, right? Mm-hmm. So if we kind of have, even if we don't actually do them, like how would we add new player abilities or new game elements, or even how would we make this web-based? Could we do that? Like how could we prepare the code to make that easier?
Right. Both make it easier and to give us, like if we do make some of those more significant changes, to give us more confidence in them so that we know that we're not horribly breaking everything.
Yeah.
Oh, should we show what the game actually looks like? I forgot about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Let me, because I know what it looks like and you know what it looks like, but probably not everyone who watches this video. So here we go, Donkey Kong in all of its ASCII glory. They're obviously, this is not a canonical version of Donkey Kong or even a sanctioned version of Donkey Kong for that matter. And there's no jumping and no hammers, and you're just supposed to get up to Donkey Kong up at the top, which is the purple smiley face. And you're the yellow smiley face, and don't get hit by the barrels, which are the @ symbols. So, and if you do, then the game ends like that. And it supports multiple levels. They just go in order. You can see there are files for those.
Right. Yeah. So we have the different maps. See, that's the level just playing.
Yep.
And a level in a slightly different format.
Yeah, this one has dots instead of spaces. I learned after making the first map file that manually, like visually inspecting where the spaces were really sucked. And so I changed the code so that it would support dots.
I could see that. Looks like there's some nested while loops in here.
Well, I mean, why would you not want to do that? This will be interesting for me because, like I said, this code I did write it a long time ago.
Yeah, so it looks like
to see how this is.
we have like a play again loop, we have a next level loop, and then we have the actual, what I would consider the game loop, where it's the like everything things that happen to move. You can see down here. So I mean, just thinking about it, there's a couple things that I think are going to be helpful in terms of us being able to add tests, and it's that this update code right, this display is separate. So most of the console stuff is in here, at least around the actual playing of the game.
Yeah. If you go and look at like the program.cs class again, it has a model and a display, and it
kind of regulates the interaction between the two, which again, that's, oh, and the display has a reference to the model.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
But it does not, the model doesn't tell it when it changed. We just say update the display based on the current state of the model every tick.
Right.
Okay. There are a bunch of console things in here as well. But I'm wondering if, again, be good to, well, first get a unit test project set up. And then it seems like there are things we could do in here that would be potentially testable. We may have to expose some things that are currently private or not publicly accessible, like these guys. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be a little, so yeah, my thought is, like, if our goal is to start adding some tests, the display class is probably gonna be hard to test. Program.cs is gonna be hard to test, but this one will be easier, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think we could use approval tests here, right? We could basically approval test the game model. We could call some methods on it, and then maybe either have a toString that's more robust, or have something that like dumps a bunch of the state that we care about. And
yeah, I mean, we do have our map that has the the current state of the whole map, where the player is and barrels and all that sort of stuff. We could that somehow. I don't remember how it accesses that, because like that variable on line 11 is private, but I like that's what the display class does, is it just looks at that somehow.
Oh, it looks like it.
It has an indexer. Hey, look, there's the indexer.
Okay.
But I mean, we could make a better way from a testing perspective to access it than that.
Yeah.
If we wanted to. But we do have a load level from file. That might be fun.
Again, if we're going to do kind of bigger tests, like loading a level from a file, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
We might need to make that public so that we can access it from the tests.
Another alternative would be to, like, if we had another constructor that where that we're going to use for testing purposes, where we pass in the already parsed map or something like that. That would be another option. Though I agree with you, for where we're doing these larger tests, making it so that it actually loads a level from the file, it's probably not terrible.
This game tells this is an enum. Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, it wouldn't be awful to write at least some smaller tests that we actually specify a grid in code. I'm just thinking any grid, anything of reasonable size in terms of like play area is gonna, if it's gonna even look to include most of these, like it's gonna be a bigger area.
Yeah.
Okay. You are more proficient at .NET on the command line. Do you want to go ahead and add a test project?
Sure. Oops. I would propose that we move this stuff, the current stuff, into its own folder, and then make a sibling test folder and put a solution file at the root. That sound reasonable?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, basically we just take everything that's in here, right?
Yeah. So I want to move everything.cs into there. All map files. Oops. Into there.
Project file.
That. What else do I have left? That looks like the thing. And then I'm
Leave the
going
README
to
there.
get rid of that. Okay. Hopefully VS Code doesn't get super crabby about all of this. It might. I'm sure I can still like run it from here. So I think I can spell properly. Just make sure that it still works.
Yeah, again, feedback as we go. Yeah.
Okay, good. Barrels do still work. That's good. Okay, so then here, ASCII.tests for the test
Sounds
project.
good.
New end unit project there. Oh, not Docker. Sorry, that's something else. Add reference. That one. And then if we come up here and do .NET, this is how I do it.
Do we need a solution file?
You don't have to have one. VS Code is happier if you have one.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, it's like, oh, I have 2 project files. I don't know what to do. So you don't strictly have to have one. It also does give you a nice way to just build everything.
Right.
So like I can be here and say .NET build, and it'll build both of the projects. I mean, with 2 projects, it's not that big of a deal, but
Sure.
If I had 10 or whatever, that would be more interesting, more valuable. So let's see our test here. This is our super awesome test. The interesting thing is, or I could also just try, try restarting OmniSharp.
Maybe.
Oh, hey, look. That's way happy.
Figured it out. Okay. I wonder if we don't need the change. I mean, we did move. What? Anytime you're changing project files at all, or even moving them.
Yeah, it could also be that OmniSharp got confused because we did just have the single project. It's like, oh, I'm in project mode or something. But then where we added multiple projects into the solution file, maybe it got confused. Not sure.
Fair. Okay, so we have a test project.
Test project that presumably can use the stuff from our main project, though I'm not positive of that. That might be a good thing to start.
Yeah, we might have to copy like the map. Like if we're gonna use a map file.
Yeah, if we want to. if we want to just use one of these existing ones and.
I think it'd be good to start. So
Okay.
let's try adding approvals to the test project.
Package
Approval tests.
approval tests.
Yeah.
Okay, we now have approval.
Okay. And I think if we maybe if we just load a level from file, like that will, and then we assert what the model looks like. That's a good first test. And I mean, that's testing the loading level from file at least.
Yeah.
It gives us a baseline.
For now, I'm going to get rid of our setup. So we'll put one of these in here, and I can go and steal this thing.
Yes.
In here.
Hopefully this works.
Yeah.
Well, this time.
Yeah, if this crashes and burns horribly, maybe we'll have to do a splice here in the video. But called game model. That maybe takes something, I don't remember. No code actions available.
Game model takes a path.
Takes a path.
So it will load the load level from file for us based off the path.
Why is it not letting me? Oh, what namespace is this even in? I don't know.
Oh, we need to reference the other project.
I did.
Or you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says that it should be referenced.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully we're not. Oh, it's inaccessible due to its protection level. That's why I just always make all my classes public. Well, now I do. In 2007, I did not. Apparently. Okay.
Well, again, it's always depends on the context, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's see. If we come here and do a .NET, we'll just do a .NET test to do it once, see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we want to watch if we're doing well.
Yeah, maybe.
Or we're developing the approval.
Yeah, we can just run it manually for now.
Okay, but we loaded the level, so
yeah, or at least the constructor executed successfully, which is supposed to load the level.
Well, nothing blew up. We'll go with that. Blew up,
which is a great place to start.
Okay, so we need to devise a way to inspect what's going on.
Yeah.
So we have that map internally. We don't have access to that outside. We could index into it using the indexer like we talked about before. But we can't get the whole thing.
Yeah, there's not really a good way to get the.
So either we do something internal to the game model that iterates over it, or we do something in our test that iterates over it. You can see pros and cons both ways. Like we could just override toString.
Yeah, we could.
Or since it only really needs to be used for the tests, we could do something in the tests.
Yeah, and we can know what the what the size of this array is to use in this indexer. I think that's what the display class does. Yeah, it has these constant things set up.
Wait, so the display knows what size it is.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, the display knows what size it is.
The map does not.
The game model essentially
Oh.
asks the display what size it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Which,
okay, well, they're
yeah.
static, right?
They're static. Yep.
So we can access those from our tests as well.
Mm-hmm.
If we wanted to do it in the test.
Yeah, this is an interesting, like, not immediately obvious level of coupling between game model and display, which at the time probably made sense, but now I'd be like, I don't think I'm going to do that. But anyway, just
yeah. So
interesting historical observation.
I think I'd like, okay. So again, if we do it toString, then we're not leaking size information necessarily explicitly.
Right.
Or at least our test doesn't have to go and find out the size information. Which I kind of like in terms of an abstraction.
If the game model itself directly exposed that size information, that might be different, but it doesn't right now.
Yeah. Because I was looking for that. I was like, well, where could, like, how does the other thing know what size it is? It's like, oh, it
would one of the things I was thinking of when we were talking about loading, doing testing, I was thinking, oh, we could just make up a map that's smaller and use that for testing purposes. But then seeing this, without modifications to code, we actually can't do that because it has to be whatever this constant size up here. So that's interesting. I mean, we could change that, but
we could.
That won't work.
Okay, so which way are you leaning? toString? I guess a third option, just to throw that out there, is we could add a method on the display class.
Since it does know the size and does have a reference to the model.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if that just like wraps us completely in a knot.
I kind of like the idea of when you said adding a method to the display class to output. That touched a dormant memory of, I think maybe I did that at one point for debugging purposes. Sounds vaguely familiar. I was just going to see if it was still here, but I don't think it is. For the test, I like the idea of being less coupled to the display class and just working more on the game model, even though the game model does have some coupling with the display class inside of it. I kind of like keeping our tests as removed from that coupling as possible, so that at some future point we could make the game model completely decoupled from the display if we wanted to, make it web-based or do something else.
Right. Okay, so toString or test method, I guess, a test specific method, a test helper.
How about a toString? Because that way our test code doesn't need to know anything about the display stuff or size or anything.
Excellent.
Okay.
I mean, we could always, we don't have access to the actual array. So I'm like, because internally the game model, we don't have to couple this toString to display size.
True.
Directly, right?
Right.
Okay. Let's write a toString method.
Okay. Welcome, put it down here at the bottom somewhere, like here. How about? You want an actual like override toString?
Yeah. That way we can just hand approvals the object and it'll know what to do.
At some point we will. Are you okay not having the debate about string concatenation versus string builder right now?
Yes. Let us not debate such things.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know which direction I need to do this in.
I mean, for the test, it doesn't really matter.
It's true.
So
The
the code and display goes y decides height, and then x to size width.
okay, so
I
I want
don't
to go
know
over.
why it does that, but I
I
guess
don't know.
for the purposes of, yeah, because we'd want to go each of the widths if we're going to draw it
Oh, sorry.
and want it to look like the thing.
This is the Y. Before I added the other one, but oh well. Right, because the first dimension is the X and the second dimension is the Y. And then here I can say, oh dear. Result plus equals new line to make it easier for us mortal humans to read this.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you want to just print out the game tile enum text, or do you want it to be like the character so that it's like we get back the thing that we originally started with?
Well, for difference detection, it would be easier if it was what is actually being displayed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So like we have the opposite of that code when we're reading in the file. We have sort of that code when we're displaying it.
Yeah, we could probably just grab that switch statement and massage it.
Oops, over, nope, in this one. We can do a local function if you
327.
want.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Character.
Can we put it on the game tile?
Well, because that's what this thing is. That's what the array is.
I know, but could we add it,
Oh,
like add it to the enum?
I don't know if you could do that.
Anyway, just we can write it here and then decide what we're going to do. But
Okay. Whoops. File. Switch. Nope, not that kind of switch. That goes right. Yeah. Should go in order here.
sure. So empty is no, we're going to do empty.
Oh, you don't want to do a dot?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just thinking doing what's actually going to display.
Gotcha.
But
I think floors are equals.
floor is equals. Yep.
Ladder is H.
Yep.
Barrel is at.
Yeah.
Mario is
1. Yeah.
Interestingly, if you do this on a Mac, then apparently the default terminal font in Mac land does not translate, does not have the 1 and 2 characters mapped to smiley faces, and so it looks weird. Should for default case.
Question mark?
Question mark?
Yeah, it's very clearly something unexpected.
Oh, it's declared but never used. Okay. File to character. Okay, so something like that, right?
Right.
And if I did it right, then it won't be rotated 90 degrees. We'll see.
Right. So in our test, then we want to do approvals.verify instead of assert.pass.
Bowls
Uh-huh.
by.
Game model. Could
Well,
even
then we have
inline
to
that
add
if we
a
wanted. Use reporter. Reporter.
reporter. Keyboard is too clicky.
Diff reporter.
Okay, should we see what that does?
I am excited to see what that does.
That should be exciting. Hey, look. That's reasonably close to what I thought it should do.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's approve it.
That and put it over there. If we wanted to make this a little prettier, we could do it different. Apparently, it does not like the smiley face characters here. We could switch that to something else if we wanted to. But.
So there are little like action icons up in the upper right.
Oh, like these?
I don't know what those do. Like that, yeah, those look like change.
Yeah, next change, previous change. Open.
Okay. I don't know if the drop down, the 3 dots has something.
Oh. Interesting.
Wonder if stage selected change would move it over.
Oh, maybe.
Okay, so if we run it again, we expect it to pass.
Right. Now we also have one of these.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't name our test very well, so it's kind of.
Oh, so we're gonna need to, let's rename our test and then run it again and then reapprove the result. So that is one of the interesting things about approval tests. If it does kind of.
Do you know if there's because right now it's using this class name and this method name, looks like. Do you know if there's a way, like if there's an attribute you can put on to say, here's the name of this test or something like that?
There are, at least in certain versions of approvals, are ways to customize that, but I can't remember, and I generally haven't.
I mean, for our purposes, we can just rename the file, which is fine, or rerun it.
Yeah.
What do you want to name this one? Game model tests or something?
Sure, that seems like a good name, good enough name.
What would you like for this one?
New level 1 model, or I don't know, or initial level 1, maybe.
Like that? Yeah. If we run this again. I don't know if there's a better way. Will it go and do something with the other approved.txt?
No, we'll have to delete it manually.
Okay.
It doesn't. It is a matter of course, does not go around deleting files that it doesn't quite know what they are.
That which seems totally appropriate. Okay, so I'll delete this one. Oh, and I'm going to rename this too because either Visual Studio Code is not smart enough to do that, or I'm not smart enough to tell Visual Studio Code how to do that when I rename the class to also rename the file.
Let's do a next test.
Okay,
I guess I can take the keyboard for a second.
sure.
Although I was gonna just, I don't know, some people might not approve, but I do. So I'm gonna actually move the user reporter up to the class.
Oh,
You can actually put the attribute on the class. You can also put the attribute on the assembly. But class level, considering that we likely will have a mix of approval and non-approval tests, I don't think it really hurts to have the attribute, but
yeah.
okay. So I was thinking we do barrels.
Okay. Yeah, or
what do you think based on your knowledge of the code? What might be?
I just can't remember if you can just say create a barrel and have that work, or if you have to like create a barrel and then do some updates to have it actually show up. I don't remember how that works. If we want to do maybe a simpler case, we could do just having like a player move left or right or something. Make sure that they actually move.
Okay. So now we need our game model. Oops, I don't.
Oops. It don't do too much.
So again, granularity here. So I don't think, so I'd be okay exercising all the movement in one test and do, well, actually, I don't know how, don't know how approvals does multiple verifies. I don't know if it's happy with that or not.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting question. We could try it and see.
Yeah, I mean, why not? But we do need to go and expose the Mario move left. Those are all public. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we do Mario left.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking I'm gonna do that and then do Mario right once. Okay, let's try it.
See what that does. Will it be amazing or crash and burn horribly?
Okay, I'm gonna scroll down. So
that looks like it's moved left some, presumably 3 spaces. I'm not sure. Well, that's interesting.
that is interesting.
Because of how this is printing out, it is killing the monospaced nature of it.
Huh.
I mean, in this particular case, it's relatively easy to see that the ladder lines up. But, so I'll just put this one over here.
Yeah.
Okay. We will run that again, and I assume that was the first one.
And there's the second one. Oh, is it
over by 1?
Okay, so that's not gonna work. Multiple verifies. because it's asking us to overwrite the existing approved.
Yeah, and this one has 7 spaces and this one has 6 spaces. So
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
Well, now we know.
Mhm.
So let's call it that. And then we'll do a second test for moving right.
Yep.
Although what we could do maybe again, just to kind of combine scenarios. Well, no. You can pull up the map again.
Mhm.
So there's only one way up. So we
Yeah.
could do. So we could do just left. And then we could do right and up.
Yeah.
Do you know how many right we
1,
need
2,
to do?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, I think. Counted that right?
14. Okay. Well. And then
Go up once. Assuming I counted that right.
oh, we have a test. It'll tell us.
Hey, look, we climbed the ladder one.
I mean, this is the benefit, I mean, of doing approval tests on code that we know is, well, we assume is working, right? We've
Right.
seen execute correctly. Yeah, okay.
Let's see, and then this one, oh, this is the left one. Oh yeah, because we changed the name of our test.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that does kind of get annoying with approvals, is that it does make it harder to rename your tests effectively.
Let's see, I need to get rid of some of these two, correct?
Uh,
Because that's what it was named before, right? It was movement in
Correct.
level 1.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna get rid of those. And then I can just run this again just to make sure that it doesn't. Okay.
Okay, well, that gives us a couple tests for Mario moving around. We'll need to break. But do you have any closing thoughts on this part?
It has infinitely more tests now than it did before, so that's a plus. With sort of game-like stuff like this, I don't think unit testing is a super common practice in like game development, which is unfortunate. But in this particular case, at least anyway, because we're using this text-based format, approval tests makes it pretty easy to just say, hey, does everything look right? We can do relatively easy, verify all the things at once and detect regressions. So that's kind of nice. Like this probably wouldn't work probably wouldn't work the same in a non-text based game. Though I know approval tests can do like image diffs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I'm like, you could dump like the all the polygon definitions like at different points. Like that. That's probably pretty large data sets though.
Yeah, but you could dump, the player position and enemy positions or something like
that.
That would be a lot more manageable.
Yeah, you could figure out a subset of it. Again, the visual part is nice here in as much as it encapsulates the whole kind of state of the game.
Yeah.
So, okay, so looking forward, I'm thinking we still need to get something around down. We need to get barrels.
Mhm.
And I think there's
like a Donkey Kong move. I think that just handles the timing of creating the new barrels. I think
okay.
what that does.
Him moving is creating a barrel.
I think so.
Okay.
I don't think he actually moves around.
Well, given that there's not a directional move, then I'm guessing that's probably true.
Yeah. But like once we did that, then I would feel a lot more comfortable doing some more significant refactors and
Yeah.
being able to quickly know whether or not we broke stuff.
Indeed. Okay. Well, we will save that for next time.
Okay.